And shout out to Bud Light for the free beer. I'm sure the fans in Cleveland enjoyed it. I hope Bud Light kind of does that for more things that happen equally as rarely, like the Chiefs winning a playoff game at home or the Bengals winning a playoff game, period.
You are better now, better now. You only say that cause I'm not around, not around. You know I never meant to let you down, let you down. Would've gave you anything, would've gave you everything.
Guys, my name is Colin Bell. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at KCRBELLSKI'S. I'm back to do my week 3 picks, guys. I really hope that they don't go as bad as last week. I went 7-7-1 last week. Not ideal at all. My goal, I want to miss less than 4 this week. That's the goal. Before we get started with those picks, though, shout out to the Cleveland Browns, baby. 635 days since their last victory. They took care of the Jets last night. Tyrod Taylor was not playing well. He had the concussion. Mayfield comes in. Obviously, it's not the way you want to see Mayfield come in. I don't wish injury on anybody, but I was glad he finally saw it. I think Mayfield was probably going to come in the game either way at some point, the way Tyrod Taylor was playing. But hey, Mayfield, 17 for 23, 201 yards. He doesn't score any touchdowns, no picks, but he does have the 2-point reception with the Philly play. They ran the old Philly special to tie the game at 14 before, obviously, New York kicked a field goal to go ahead 17-14, and the Browns ultimately score a touchdown and win the game 21-17. My favorite part of this whole thing, and I know everyone knows about it by now, is the Bud Light coolers. You know, obviously they had these Bud Light coolers in specific bars around the Cleveland area, and as soon as the Browns won their first game, they were going to unlock them and free Bud Light for everybody. I think that's really cool, man. I'm going to go watch some of those videos, some reaction videos. That, you know, it sucks that they have to have these reactions for a team that's won its first game in almost 2 years. I like to watch reactions about, like, the Landon Donovan goal in 2010 in the World Cup, or when the Royals won the World Series at P&L, those kind of things. But hey, these are fun too. And shout out to Bud Light for the free beer. I'm sure the fans in Cleveland enjoyed it. I hope Bud Light kind of does that for more things that happen equally as rarely, like the Chiefs winning a playoff game at home or the Bengals winning a playoff game, period. Anyways, before we get into my picks, though, let's go over some top news of the day. In baseball, the Red Sox clinched the AL East yesterday. They joined Cleveland Indians as the only 2 teams that have clinched their division so far. Boston, easily the best team in the AL, the best team in the league, the best record. I don't know, man. I talked about it on my first show with Devin, Belsky, and D-Man. I think the Red Sox have been so good this whole year that they're going to falter. I think they end up losing to the Yankees in the ALDS. The Cubs shortstop Addison Russel was placed on administrative leave by the MLB today. He's accused of physical and verbal abuse of his ex-wife. This obviously all came out last year. If you remember an Instagram post from her, a comment from her friend, the MLB opened an investigation, which the wife refused to cooperate with. The reason being that she wanted everything wrapped up very quickly. She didn't want to have to go through the whole thing, which is, you know, I understand that. This week, evidently, there was another post by the wife, the ex-wife, a blog post, and new stuff came out. I guess new details in this blog post. They see it, and they put him on administrative leave, which is, I mean, he's virtually suspended. Who knows how long? We don't know yet. The MLB said that this investigation has been going on the full 15 months since the initial post and the initial investigation. Joe Madden, in an interview, though, said that the MLB has not talked to him and that he wasn't even aware that this investigation was still going on. Obviously, no action was taken at the beginning because the wife didn't cooperate. They didn't have the evidence. They didn't have enough to suspend him. Evidently, that changed, and honestly, man, that's a bad job by the MLB, because if they're going to look at the second blog post, and they should have looked at the first as sufficient evidence, obviously something happened, obviously he did something, and I think he should be suspended for it, but the thing is, it should have happened 15 months ago. It shouldn't have taken another blog post, whether the wife cooperated or not. I think they had enough. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, he could appeal it, whatever, but I just feel like this should have happened a long time ago. This shouldn't be happening right now. For the Cubs, you know, it sucks, but at the same time, the guy deserves to be suspended if he really did do the things he's accused of. And he, you know, I guess she hasn't pressed charges. I guess she doesn't really plan to, but I don't know. Shouldn't happen. In golf news, something I did not think I'd be talking about in these videos, Tiger Woods, for the first time in a long time, holds a share of the lead after the first 2 rounds. Woods and Justin Rose are 7 under par. Rory McIlroy is 2 off the lead at 5 under. And golf needs Tiger, man. I was stupid as a kid, and I watched Tiger growing up. I watched, highlights of Tiger winning on ESPN growing up, and I hated that. I was like, golf is boring, and why would you want to watch something where the same person wins all the time? I was clearly too young to understand how, I guess, important that kind of idol, that kind of superstar is in a sport like golf. I did not care one bit about golf. I mean, I watched the highlights on ESPN. I watched Tiger Woods because I wanted to see Tiger go out and do something crazy, some ridiculous shot from the bunker that goes in, or some ridiculously long putts. It was fun to watch on ESPN. I just didn't watch full rounds of golf, which I actually kind of do now, specifically now that Tiger Woods is back in contention. I know what he did to his wife, cheating on her with a bunch of different women, is not right. The whole situation with her and the golf club smashing into him is Escalade. And obviously he's had a lot of surgeries. I'm sure he's been in a lot of pain, but also some problems with opioids and prescription drugs. You remember the DUI he got. The dude's been through a lot, and I think he's obviously made some changes, and I think he's overcome a lot, and hopefully he's not. I mean, I guess he's single, so if he is banging like 18 different women, I don't know. I guess it's really not as bad now. I don't know. But golf needs Tiger Woods. I would have never been watching this tournament. I wouldn't be following any of the tournaments if it wasn't for these highlights that Tiger's in it. I think he's going to win one more major. I think he's going to win probably 2 more majors, hopefully more. I want to see him catch Jack Nicklaus. See, I don't really know a lot about golf. I know he's chasing somebody for the most majors. I really hope he gets that. And wouldn't it be crazy? His last major was in, 2008? 10 years in between majors, and he still goes out and wins some and gets it. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't watch golf. I don't watch enough golf to talk anymore about it, but golf needs Tiger Woods, and I think it's helping a lot that he's in contention again. I hope he wins this weekend, and I hope I'm talking about my picks, giving him a shout-out for winning this tournament next week. On to some NFL news. Falcons safety DeMonte Casey was fined $10,000 by the NFL for his unnecessary roughness late hit on Cam Newton last week. He was ejected from the game. He will not be suspended for any more games, though. They're right for fining him. The Falcons coaching staff, Dan Quinn, even said, they supported the decision. It was a late hit, and I hope he learns from it. He didn't seem too apologetic in his quotes, to be honest, when I read them, but it could just be the way I'm taking it, so who knows. Before we get into the picks, let's talk about some major injuries, though. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook is out against the Bills, missing a huge fantasy opportunity because the Bills are a team you can definitely put up some points against. Speaking of some running back injuries, the Jaguars' Fournette is questionable after missing last game against the Patriots. TJ Yeldon is also questionable now, though, so Corey Grant, their third stringer, might see some action this weekend. Obviously, I think Fournette ends up playing. Who knows about Yeldon? He played a lot last week, got the job done in the win against the Patriots, but we'll see what happens with the Jags running back situation. Another team with a not-so-good running back situation right now is the defending champions, the Eagles. Jay Ajayi is going to be out with a back injury, and Darren Sproles is also out. Corey Clements is their third-string running back, and he's shown last year that he can be pretty good. So hopefully he can pick it up, and Wentz his first start. Wentz is going to need some help on the ground, trying to get back into the flow of the NFL games. Another running back. It seems like all the running backs are hurt this week. LaShawn McCoy is questionable with a rib injury. Obviously, if he goes down, the Bills are going to lose by a lot more. We'll talk about the Bills and their huge spread later. And we're not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into my Week 3 picks. Got to start off with my Chiefs. We're taking on the 49ers. That's our home opener. Patrick Mahomes' his first start at Arrowhead. I'm so ready for it. The quarterback matchup in this one, Jimmy Garoppolo versus Patrick Mahomes, is going to be really, really fun to watch. 2 quarterbacks who I think can be good in this league for a long time. But Mahomes is clearly going to be better. We all know that, obviously. Talking about 2 good quarterbacks facing off, I think the Chiefs have a lot more complete of a team. At the very least on offense, I know the Chiefs' defense is suspect, but, as long as we're ahead, I think if we can get a lead and get a couple stops at the beginning on defense, which is what we've been able to do the first couple games, that will help tremendously. Playing from ahead is going to tremendously help the defense. If we're playing from behind and we're still having to try and deal with those long passes, deal with this weak secondary, it's going to be a problem. So get the lead and then do what we do. Force a couple turnovers. I know we didn't have any last week against the Steelers. That's a really good offense. Ron Parker has the only turnover for the Chiefs all year, I think. He's got an interception. So get some turnovers, get some pressure on the quarterback. Pressure on the quarterback is going to be huge because the less time that secondary has to guard receivers, the more likely it is that we can force some stops. Houston hasn't really got a whole lot of pressure on the quarterback. The Chiefs as a team really haven't. Houston obviously had the play wiped out against the Steelers where he forced the fumble and where you turn it for a touchdown on holding call on the other side of the field, but got to see more of an impact from him, man. I know he's getting doubled. I know the Chiefs really don't have a pass rush on the other side. D Ford has gotten a few plays. I think has a sack at least on the year, but just get more pressure, man. If we can do that, then we have a really good chance. Eric Berry. Eric Berry still hasn't practiced. It was rumored he was going to practice this week after last game. Still hasn't happened. Obviously, it's Friday. He's not going to play if he hasn't practiced all week, and it's getting frustrating, you know? I understand he's hurt. I understand you don't want to put him in until he's completely healthy, but let us know. Give us more of a time frame because it's literally been Eric Berry his day-to-day since week 3 of the preseason, and come on, it's about to be, he's not going to play in week 3 of the regular season. It's been 6 weeks. Tell us what's going on with him. Give us a legitimate time frame on his return so we cannot sit here and question it and talk about it like I've done in every single one of my podcasts so far. The reason being is because we don't know. He could come back next week and play week 4, or he could be out till week 12, or he could be done. He could never play again. We really have no idea, and it's because the Chiefs just won't tell us. I understand you'd want to be secretive or whatever you're trying to do, but just this, it's Eric Berry. He's going to play as soon as he's able to. Just let us know. On the other side of the ball, Richard Sherman didn't practice for the San Francisco 49ers. He is questionable for the game. Sherman or no Sherman, Chiefs at home, crowd, huge factor, Arrowhead, the loudest stadium in the NFL. That's been proven. Chiefs win in a shootout, 38-35. Another noon game on Sunday. The Saints take on the Falcons. Both teams coming off their first win of the year last week. This is an important early division game in the NFC South to see who really can take control of that division. I think both of these teams are better, or at least more consistent than Carolina. So this is going to be the game in Atlanta early in the year to decide who's the class of that NFC South and who takes the driver's seat going into the middle of the season. Give me the Saints on the road with that offense and that defense. I told you guys the offense struggled week 1. Sorry, the defense struggled week 1. The offense struggled week 2. I see him put it together and beat the Falcons on the road 31-24. The Raiders head to Miami to take on the AFC East leading Miami Dolphins. Enjoy that title while it lasts, but it's going to last a little longer because I got the Dolphins winning this one. Gruden in an interview this week said it's hard to find a good pass rusher. Yeah, it's really hard to find a good pass rusher. It's a good thing you didn't trade him away or anything, the best pass rusher in the league. It's a good thing you didn't do that, right? Right? Yikes, man. Dolphins improved to 3-0. They beat the Raiders 28-17. You can't make this stuff up with Gruden. The Bills and the Vikings, and this one really wouldn't be interesting other than the fact that the Bills are underdogs. The Vikings are favored by 16.5 points. I was reading an article and I didn't write it down, but that's the largest spread in an NFL game in years. Like, lots of years. A lot of years. I don't know how many, but many years. Like, more than 5. Like, 9 maybe. I don't remember. I think like 9, but lots of years. The Bills are bad. I've said this since week 1. Everybody knows it. I don't need to tell you, but the Bills are bad. The Vikings look like a top 3 team in the NFC, and the Bills are bad. On top of that, your only weapon, your best offensive player, probably the best player on your team, LaShawn McCoy, is questionable, which only makes things worse. Vikings 34, Buffalo 10. In a game I'll be watching closely this week, Willman's Eagles take on Rod Fee's Colts. The roommates, that should be interesting. Hopefully they're still talking on Sunday night. They're not too pissed at each other. The Colts are 1-1, and honestly, they gave up the week 1 game to Cincy. They had a 24-6 lead and blew it. The Eagles are 1 play from 0-2. The Falcons had it right now, knocking on the door at the goal line in week 1 against the Eagles. No Ajayi, no Sproles. Wentz just coming back. He could be a little rusty. I've got the Colts in an upset, 21-18. Sorry, Devin. The Green Bay Packers play the Redskins in Washington this week. And I said it last week, I'll say it again. Alex Smith is at his best when he's got a good offense around him, when he's got playmakers, and when he's got a good offensive-minded head coach. And honestly, I don't think he really has any of those in Washington. When Adrian Peterson is playing the way he's playing, it's not going to be good when Alex Smith has to put the team on his back because they have no run game at all. The Redskins defense, I really haven't seen a whole lot or know a whole lot about it, but honestly, I don't think it matters. I think the Packers and Aaron Rodgers win this one pretty handily, 31-20 Packers over the Redskins. The Bengals are 2-0, and they head to Carolina to take on the Panthers this week. We all know the stats about teams that start 2-0, how often they make the playoffs. Given Pittsburgh's turmoil, I think the Bengals are really good, have a really good chance to win the AFC North this year. The Panthers have been inconsistent all year. The Panthers were inconsistent all of last year. The Bengals, it's still in September, so they're not going to... They'll make the playoffs, but they're going to lose in the first round like they always do. Give me the Bengals, 20-13 over the Panthers in this one on the road. The Titans and the Jaguars. Before I get this pick, I want to apologize to Jaguars fans. And for my last stream, I was talking about the Texans and I said that they were the best team in the AFC South. Well, that's because I'm an idiot and I forgot the Jaguars are in the AFC South. The Jaguars are the class of that division. The Titans are 1-1 and they should be 0-2. The Texans really should have beat them last week despite playing bad themselves. The only thing that really won in the game was a fake punt touchdown and a short Blaine Gabbert touchdown. That's something I didn't think I'd hear in the NFL again. But the Jaguars beat the Titans pretty handily in this one, 28-10, and the Jaguars improved to 3-0. They're contenders in the AFC. The Broncos head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, and I said this last week, the Broncos are 2-0, but they're not the real deal. I think we finally see that this week. The Ravens disappointed against the Bengals after molly-whopping the Bills in week 1. But against the Broncos, I think Keenum turns the ball over 4 times, 3 picks and a fumble. Baltimore 24, Denver 20. The New York Giants head to Houston to play the Texans this week, and one of these teams is finally going to get their first win of the year. It's not going to be the Giants. You know why? Because of their offensive line. Their offensive line is terrible. And Eli Manning, I think even if their offensive line was better, isn't that good anymore either. We all know my opinion about Eli Manning too. I've talked about this before. The Giants are just not going to be good again this year. Texans 31, Giants 17. Hopefully Houston gets on a roll and starts winning some games because they're better than they've played so far. The Chargers head to LA to play the Rams, not too far from, LA where they play. The Chargers beat the Bills in week 2 after falling to the Chiefs in week 1. The Rams are obviously about 5 times the team that the Bills are. I think the Rams will move to 3-0 easily, 41-28 over the Chargers in the Battle of LA. Is this the first one in the regular season? Yeah, I guess it has to be. It's only been like 2 years. Wow. First Battle of LA, Rams, easy. The Bears head to Arizona to play their first non-primetime game of the season. Arizona is not good. Sam Bradford is not good. Bears offense is not good, but they're going to be less not good than the Cardinals. I think Trubisky, he's going to be a decent quarterback. The Bears are going to regret. I think the Bears already regret the fact that they didn't take Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. Trubisky can still be a viable quarterback in the NFL. He's just going to take longer. I think he can do all right. Bears win this one anyways. The Cardinals just aren't very good. 17-7 over Arizona. The Cowboys head to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, and you know the old football saying, you're only as good as your offensive line, or football games are won and lost on the offensive line or in the trenches. Well, the Cowboys have a huge advantage on the offensive line, at least over the Seahawks. The Seahawks are another team with bad offensive line play. Russell Wilson was sacked 6 times in each of his first game for the first time in a long time that's happened. He's going to be under duress all day. He's got to put that whole team on his back, offense and defense now this year. Cowboys, Zeke's going to eat, and Russell Wilson's going to eat turf. Dallas wins 24-16. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. If it's not an NFC East matchup, it's the New England Patriots. And sure enough, they go to Detroit to take on Matt Patricia and the Lions. This game, obviously, the big storyline is Matt Patricia versus Bill Belichick. We've seen the success rate of Belichick proteges in the NFL, and it's not good. So the fact that you now have to play Belichick, who knows what kind of systems you run, who probably knows a lot about what you do as a head coach because you learned so much from him. The Lions already had huge issues in week 1 about tipping their plays. I know that's a Jim Bob Cooter problem, not a Matt Patricia problem per se, but I don't think it's going to look good for the Lions. Give me New England in a get-right game for them at 1-1. They really haven't looked especially good in either game. It's a get-right game for New England, 38-10. They win it going away. And the Monday Night Football, I'm interested in this one too. The Steelers play the Buccaneers in Tampa. The Steelers' drama, in my opinion, in what I've seen and what I think, it's just beginning, and I think it's only going to get worse. Obviously, from Le'Veon Bell to now Antonio Brown to other guys chirping and saying, this drama has to die. First of all, they're right, but it's just another quote that's out there in the media. I think there's a lot of turmoil in Pittsburgh. I think the Buccaneers are going to win this game. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick continues his hot start. The Steelers' defense proved last week against Kansas City and in week 1 against the Browns in the second half and much of last year that secondary is not very good either. I think the Fitzpatrick-led Buccaneers goes out there and just throws 30-35 points on Pittsburgh again. Pittsburgh falls to 0-2-1, and I think, hot take, first one, Mike Tomlin's going to be fired before the end of the year. He's been on the hot seat low-key for a few years now. Obviously, you can't get fired whenever you're second in the AFC, but Steelers fans want to see more success. They want to see more Super Bowl appearances. That's the expectation in Pittsburgh, and Tomlin hasn't been meeting that. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl in a long time, so I think Tomlin's gone by the end of the year. I think things are going to blow up in Pittsburgh. Big Ben's close to being done. Who knows what's going to happen with him, but this isn't going to be a good season for him. I guess I need a score for that. Let's go Buccaneers 38, Steelers 30. So now, what I want you to do, I want you to take these picks, all of the picks. I want you to go to Vegas, and I want you to pick the opposite team of what I picked, and I want you to send me a little bit of the money whenever you win all of your games because I lost all of mine. Thanks for watching, guys. These are my Week 3 picks, a little bit of NFL news. That's all I got for tonight. Hopefully, I'm coming back next week, and I've got less than 4 picks wrong, 4 less. That's the goal. Hopefully, I come back next week, and Tiger Woods has another major championship. That's the goal. And that's all I got. KCRBELLSKI, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I appreciate it. Subscribe, like this video. I don't really know why I'm not making money off it anyways, but I'm just doing something that makes me happy. Doing something for fun. And I hope you enjoy it too. Thanks, guys.
I'm like tech for my city, and he told me I'm ready, so I'm next for my city now. This is Kansas City, homes. No, it